Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We got a part two of the Watani story. Escaped from San Quentin in the 60s. He fled the country, went to South America for 20 years, and he came back and continued his time. He's been out of prison a little over
Yeah, almost 2 years.
almost 2 years now. So we're going to bring him back to Watani and allow him to continue his story. It's a very interesting story. So we're going to welcome brother on the show again and allow you to continue your story, my brother.
Mm-hmm.
So you was at the embassy
Right.
and you made a deal with the embassy, but it didn't look like it was going to work.
No, that was the first one. The first one, like I said, I call that the first aborted surrender because they didn't honor the agreement, and I was concerned leaving without my children. Because remember, I said that was one non-negotiable, that my children would be on the plane with me.
Right.
So now, after that one went sour, and they knew that, or they know now, they knew that I wouldn't leave without my children. So now they're more cooperative.
Mm-hmm.
My wife, I said, they asked me to come down. I didn't go. My wife went down, and she knows someone in there, and they told them that they were going to honor the agreement. They were going to allow my wife and I to be, married. They were going to allow me to get the paperwork translated from Dutch into English.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I'm ready, they would do it. So they gave it to me, and that was surprising that they would, do that. Like I said, I know why they did it now. I didn't know at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and so I went in there and I went through all the process. I went and my wife and I were married. I went and got their birth certificates, and I got it translated. I brought it into them. Now, this is something I did that, I regretted later because, Nancy Pelosi was a congresswoman out of San Francisco at the time, and my sister was working as a liaison for the Postal Service for her. So she knew her caseworker, who was Pat Dotson, as well as Nancy Pelosi at that time. So she told her about my situation, her brother, and Nancy, was really concerned about, everything going right. And they told him that my concern was that my children, and it's the only reason why I came to the embassy, because I was really concerned about the safety and welfare of my children.
Right.
So she was really on board at first, So we drew up another surrender agreement with Nancy Pelosi this time, and her signature on there. I still have the document, and and saying that my children were in the situation of my family, and that they didn't know where I was, and that I came voluntarily. So she wrote this document up that covered all the grounds that I wanted, and plus my sister also gave her okay, said don't worry, Nancy's not going,
Right.
So so we signed it,
Right.
and I did what I said I wouldn't do. I said, okay, I would go, and I'm pretty sure now, and I figured I had ammunition. Now, if they cross me, I'll go to the media. Yeah, I'll blast them out of water, So I had all that. So the FBI agent flew in from Venezuela, and, I met him, went to the airport, and they went through the whole chain. Said, it's a good thing you came voluntarily because, your family never would have gotten here. So he was always reassuring me. I got the copy, and I gave my wife a copy. So if anything goes wrong, and then my sister said, don't worry, Nancy's not going to, do that. So I got on the plane. I flew from Suriname to Venezuela. And then from Venezuela, they flew me to Dade County, Florida. And I had to waive extradition there as well to go. I went to Chino and end up back in San Quentin. And when I got to San Quentin, they pulled me out of the line, put more shackles on me, escorted me straight to AC, and then I got a letter from the State Department saying that we don't negotiate with fugitives, and besides, your family, you wouldn't be able to take care of your family anyway. So they and that was the lowest point of my whole. I said,
So what did they do with your family? What happened to your family?
my family stayed there. They abandoned them, and they were eventually separated from each other into foster care home.
Really?
Yeah, and that was for 11 years. And And when I get to the 11th year, I can see why they came. But for 11 years, they were abandoned in South America, and eventually they were separate. When I got there, I started writing relief agency, the Salvation Army, churches, everybody to try to see what kind of help I can get for my children. And the Salvation Army came and they did, but most of the agency at that time, when I got back, had limited resources in that region, so they could only do so much, and they didn't want to overcommit themselves. So everything I was getting for them, help them, was from friends and people that I knew, and so I'm in.
So you did you and your family did reunite.
Yeah,
after 11 years.
After 11 years, yeah, and that was that was only because, and I'll try to be quick on this story. That was only because they had a Dutch-speaking crew that came into San Quentin called it was Nova. Mm-hmm. They came in and they wanted to do an interview of the Dutch-speaking nationals at San Quentin, and I was in a group during that time, a self-help group. And the person who was head of it, his name is Jacques Verdun. He's from Holland. He came as a teenager, and they came in to interview him as one of the national. They had doctors and other guards, all the ones that was born in Holland. They wanted to interview them, see how their life was in the United States. So they came into the room, and I said something in Dutch to them. And they got all excited. Oh, he speak Dutch. Who is he? So he told them I was. So now they were interested in including me in the documentary. So I have to get clearance and stuff. And in prison, yes, you can't just talk, freely with the media. So, and they had the public relation officer that was follow us around, but he can't understand Dutch. So I'm telling these people how they crossed me. I'm telling them how, what they did to my family, and then they wanted to go to my cell to take want to film me reading a letter from my daughter from South America. And so you know how small the cells are in San Quentin. So, so one of the camera crew came into the cell and was talking. And I gave her Nancy Pelosi letter. I gave her the agreement we had, and so she left with it, and I didn't think anything about it, for a few months, well, if that long, a couple of months maybe, and then all of a sudden my son got a call from the embassy saying, look, we put in these kids on the plane, and if no one is at the airport to pick them up, we're going to put them in foster care home. Now, what happened was that the film aired in Europe, and the people who saw it just got outraged that they could do that to my children. Even if they had me, why would they, have the children suffer and they don't, because Nancy Pelosi wrote a letter and she was saying how my children was homeless, with no food or running water, and that that the United States entered an agreement with me, and they should, honor the agreement by at least taking care of the children. So that was all in writing, but, still like 11 years. So after that 11 years, then they put him on a plane, and my son and his wife, who, my son, I call him my hero because he was my son, my first son from when I was in high school, and he took them all in, every one of them. They couldn't speak English, but he took them in, and he did a wonderful job. So I always call him my hero because, he and his wife to take in 7, more children into the household is something that, that takes a lot of love, and so he took him in there. So that's how they got here after the 11 years. Unfortunately, my wife, she passed away, so she was unable to come, but they got here before she passed away. And so that's my story from leaving and from coming back. And since I come back,
now coming back to California, you had to come back, and I guess they took you back to court.
I did the escape. I went to Marin, went to the escape trial, and the escape trial, Nancy Pelosi wrote a letter. She said it's not the executive don't get involved with the legislative process. However, this is an unusual case. This man, no one knew where he was. He did it for his family, and so she's urging him to look at me. And then the judge herself was named Lynn O'Malley. She was crying in court, because
The judge was crying.
the judge, which passed on. So it was a real emotional trial because and then she decided against the wishes of the DA to give me probation for the escape, because she said that they had no idea where I was, and that this clearly shows whatever his past was, that his love for his children outweighs that. So she ended up giving me probation, and so I got probation. She said now it's up to San Quentin. Now San Quentin have a different idea, like I said, bleeding heart liberals in Marion County gave me. I escaped, slapped this man on the wrist for escaping. What kind of message is that sending out to other people? So they were still mad at me for leaving without permission.
For escaping.
And that parlayed to 21 years. Every time I go, they would deny. They would deny me and deny me, and eventually in this last year, I got found suitable, and not because they wanted to let me out, but because of the pressure on reducing it, and they had to get to, and I'm 62 years old, and done 25 years, where mine was 26 years. Even that, with that threshold, I still figured they weren't going to let me go, because they asked me, what would you do if you were in Ferguson? Where's your brother?
Is this what the board members asked you?
The boards asked me all kinds of questions. So that's why I had that's why my attorney said I should have been a bit more humbler, because I figured they weren't going to give me a day because of the way they asked the questions. So I was just answering the question the way that I felt, because I felt I begged them too long when my children was old. They're here now, they're older, my sons have them, so I didn't have that. I wanted to get out, but I didn't figure I had to be nice, and beg them like I did the first few years I got back, and say, send me back. My children said over there, just send me back, and but now we got you now. Where's your brother? So they went through that thing for a while, and so I end up doing 21 years. But then they told me, they have strong reservation with some of the questions the way I answered the questions. We want to make sure that you get out. You won't get involved with all this radical stuff, and just went, got real ugly. So during the deliberation, my attorney and I was talking about, it's probably 5 years, 3 years, and he said he got ground for appeal. So we talking all that.
Who was your attorney? Keith Wadley?
No, David Felt. He works with Keith Wadley now. As a matter of fact, I was his first case.
He works with uncommon law.
Yeah, he works with uncommon law with Keith Wadley, and he's and also I was his first case, but we were friends before he was my attorney. He used to be out of Alameda County, and he's doing work with Keith Wadley. So that's, so anyway, they let me out after 21 years. After we went back in after the deliberation, they said they had, have to give me the whole thing about, we have some reservation, but however, it still has to go to the governor. Yeah. Now I'm still thinking, I said, I done gave the governor every reason to take my date. So I still wasn't sending anything home.
So you got Governor Brown as a governor.
Right, right. And so I didn't, I figured, okay, well, if he needed anything, I gave him everything. Right. Now, then my attorney's telling me, I could have been a bit more humbler with some of my questions and answers and stuff. But I didn't know. But anyway, so to the last day, they said, tell the old man he's going home. This is what I got. Message from Lieutenant Robinson, and so after that, I came home. And I went to transitional housing for 6 months.
Okay.
And then now I'm in a place called Canada Forum and doing the work. Really doing the work and connecting with young people, which is my passion.
Sure.
And and I've been giving several speeches at different universities and different places, and I'm enjoying. I'm really enjoying.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, you have a story to be told, and you have a story to be told that would change people's lives. Because, see, the people, they don't understand that we come home from prison after long periods of time. We go in one way, we come out another way. And they don't realize that coming home, we have information that we want to give away. At one time, they said that information is to be sold, but they lied about that. You got to give it away because what you have to say can change people's lives.
True.
And that's what you're here for.
That's true.
You know, I tell people, I say people all the time that we was in hell. You know, they kicked us out of hell and sent us back. They sent us back for a reason. So you're here for a reason to do the work that you have now to do in society, and your work is here to be done. You know, and I commend you. I commend you for taking care of your family the way that you did, leaving this country the way that you did. You know, you had to do it for a reason, and you wanted to take care of your family, and you provided for them the best you could. You know, and you brought yourself back here because of your family. And not because you wanted to come back here. You wanted to come back here because of your family, because the well-being of your family possibly being sick in a country, in a foreign country, no medication, and they might have died. So you did your work that you did to come back here for your family, and I commend you for that. You know, you got kudos for that. So what are you doing today?
Right now, I'm doing a lot of talking. Right now, I'm at a place called Canticle Farms. It's a place in East Oakland, and it's a place where we have like this container or this space that we can use to bring in young people. So I'm talking to a lot of young people today in different panel discussions, speaking at university. But mainly my focus is to connect with the young people and try to pass the historical baton on to them. Not just the glorification of things of the past, but also some of the mistakes that we made, and so that they won't make those same mistakes. You know, I always consider myself a COINTELPRO survivor rather than a political prisoner. Even though political prisoner is encompassed in that, but because once you say you're a political prisoner, then you leave prison, then you're ex-political prisoner, former prisoner. So I say a COINTELPRO survivor because COINTELPRO did a number on the movement of the 60s, you know, had us fighting with each other, that, you know, two human beings lost their lives.
It was by design.
And one important thing that's happened to me in prison, because after I got back, I started writing, and writing is a passion of me, writing my story. When I got back, I was writing out of anger. I was mad because people were saying things about what took place and what happened. People were writing books and making up weird theory. Swearington was one guy, Wesley Swearington, was talking about the only way the Stiner brothers got out of prison, either the FBI helped them escape or they in witness protection program. I'm back, you know, now. But when we were in exile, you can't challenge all of these statements and stuff. So when I came back, I started writing. I was writing out of anger. But in the process, I joined a creative writing class. And I started writing and creating characters. And if you you write, you create characters, you ask questions of one character, and that character has to provide an answer. And with that broadened my perspective on, looking at what took place at UCLA, what took place in the movement. And it caused me to, I went to a restorative justice symposium that Fania Davis had at San Quentin. She came into San Quentin, they invited me to come. And I went in there, and she talked about, this whole criminal justice system, how it's punitive and that it doesn't address the issue. People are not brought to the table. And so I went up to her after that, and I said, do you think Ericka Huggins, now Ericka Huggins, her husband was killed at UCLA in the case that I was convicted on. And she had a 3-week-old baby at the time. And I've always had this in my mind that, what question that child would ask the mother, the father's not there for a birthday, for her graduation, to scare the boyfriends, the same, denial that was imposed upon me by being out of the life of my children. So I was pretty ripe for that, for that moment. So I went up to Ericka, and I went to Fania Davis and said, do you think that Ericka would want to engage in a restorative justice dialogue with me? Now, I didn't know if she would or not. And I figured she might say, you got a lot of nerve. My
Right.
husband killed, and you got and that, and I didn't want to open up old wounds,
Right, right.
So I was reluctant to do it anyway, but I felt that there was something I needed to do. And Ericka said that she would contact her, and that she would, she think that she probably would. So anyway, I ended up writing a letter, tore up 5 or 6 letters, and then wrote again because I didn't know what really to say, and I was careful about my words and stuff, but I just wrote from the heart, and I sent her a letter, and then 3 weeks later, I got a letter back from Ericka, and she said that, this is what she was looking for. All the time, these years, she wondered, what happened that day, and she sent, out to the universe so that we can have this conversation. And so from that, for that moment, we corresponded for 3 years. We talked about everything, because in San Quentin, I was writing for the newspaper, and I had a column called OG's Perspective, where I was working, writing about engaging young people with conversations about male-female relationships, talking with them about violence and a whole range of things. And then I would put it in the paper, and it would be my column based on those. And Ericka was doing the same thing in Oakland. She was working with young women and talking with them, and so we were on the same path, and so the meeting was just, so we corresponded for 3 years. Then it was decided that we would have a face-to-face conversation where she come in.
So you corresponded for 3 years before you met?
Before we met. And then she came, what in the 60s, I used to see her, but in different places, because she was a Panther, I was an US organization. So I see her on campus, I see her at the Black Congress, on the streets with John, but never a conversation. We never had a conversation. It's always this ideological, thing that we had with each other, where we had the same goal, but we had different way of going at it and stuff. And we were at Black Congress was an umbrella group, so everybody was in unity and harmony together until the FBI got involved in that. So, so she came in, and man, that was the most powerful.
I can imagine.
And and we looked at each other in the eyes, and she asked the questions, and these were not, questions she wanted to know, because I stepped over John's body on my way out of the room. So it was, so if things came to mind, and she had a lot of questions, so the questions, we didn't always agree on everything. Some things we had to clarify, and we went, but it was the most beautiful expression and exchange that you can ever imagine. So we talked for 5 hours. Right? And Vanya was her support, and I had my creative writing, she's my support, and we just talked about everything. Wow. Then it was decided that she would come inside of San Quentin, which she came, and we have a restorative justice symposium where we would address the prison population, San Quentin prison population, as well as outside people. And it was packed. And we went into the chapel, in the Catholic chapel, and she shared her story, I shared mine, and then we entertained questions. The young people asking questions, because this was the truth and reconciliation that we were modeling. And mind you, that people on both sides had some concerns about this. Like, just telling Ericka, she was telling me, how can you talk with this guy here? He killed your husband, he's a CIA agent, all that kind of stuff. And then I had people on my side who were saying, why are you apologizing? You didn't do anything. And but I wasn't apologizing for doing it. I was apologizing because I was part of that climate that caused the death of 2 human beings. And trying to get people to realize that it's not about, whether I pull the trigger or not. We were part of this warrior mindset at the time that, that fed into the killing of 2 human beings. But it wasn't, and with the FBI too, and with the FBI, and the only way they could have, and that's why I like to talk about the weaknesses of the movement too, because the only way the FBI could have penetrated us if there was a weakness, a hole for them to get through. Right. So we have to be able to pass that on to the younger generation, so they can know not to be, they won't be manipulated into those things that took place in there. So, but she was, so she was, I see my spiritual teacher. One gift she gave me that I will always cherish is the gift of self-forgiveness. Not, when I say self-forgiveness, I'm not talking about, I did something and, that kind of thing, but to forgive yourself for, for these things. so that's the gift that she gave me, and and we remain friends to today, except my parole conditions that don't contact your brother,
Right.
and don't contact Ericka, and but we've been missing each other at different places. She's been speaking on one panel, and I was speaking on the next. We have to make sure that we're not on the same panel. And I went to the I went to the Black Panther film, and I was trying to miss her because she was on the later show, so I went earlier. But when I came out, she was standing by the popcorn machine. I had a decision where should I go there or should I leave? Okay, so if my parole officer not listening to me, I might have walked up to her and I might have hugged her, which I did, and that was the first time I seen her since that. But after that, we just been missing each other. She's going into like the Black Panther 50 year. She'll go in one, go in one. I went into Bobby Seale's thing. She came out. I was coming out. She was going in, and I spoke on one panel. She spoke on the next panel. So it's But after the I got one more year after next year, and then we would be able to talk together because we've been doing separate things. We can do an interview, but they have her one day and have me another day, and they sort of blend together our things. So that's been one of the greatest, I guess, reward for my coming back is having met her, because she is truly I think a wonderful and beautiful human being that's really helped me to grow and helped me to see things in a broader perspective, and along with my creative writing teacher. So it's just been it's been beautiful.
That's amazing. That really is. This is a good interview that we have here today. This is something that people need to see and listen to, because you gave history today. You gave history, and some history that needs to be told. You escaped from San Quentin for a reason, and you came back for a reason, and now you're here for a reason. You're back in society, in free society, for a reason. The young people, you're educating the young people of something that they don't even know about. 60s until 2016, 17, they don't even know about. So you're giving them some history that they need to know. You need to know your history, and you're giving them a lesson. So like I say, you got the utmost respect coming from me, and your work that you're doing, keep on doing it. Don't stop me, brother. Don't stop me, brother. We got reason to be here today.
That's true.
And so we want to thank you for coming on the show today.
I want to thank you for inviting me, and you also the work that you're doing. You're a big inspiration to me as well, brother. Really.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we came back in for a reason.
Yeah.
We was in a cesspool at one time in life, and then we got sent to hell. We went into the penitentiary, where all kind of stuff was going on. And we made it out.
That's true.
Some people didn't make it. I was not gonna make it out.
That's true. And the whole prison population has really changed. When I left prison in 1974, the prison population was 40,000. That's including people on parole. And now when I come back, it's over 160,000. And the whole country is like 2.4 million.
Is that something?
It's really changed.
You got a whole country in the system. The whole country in the prison system, and it don't make any sense. And they're talking about it's overpopulated. They want to bring it down and keep it down. But it's going back up.
That's right.
It's going back up. So something has to be done. The system is broken. It needs to be revised. The whole system needs to be revised. The whole not from the bottom all the way up needs to be revised. And it's not being.
No.
They're saying that they are, but then it's not being revised.
That's true.
But it needs to be fixed from the bottom all the way up. Because they're giving people way too much time.
Way too much
time. And they got people in prison that shouldn't be in prison.
Yeah.
So this needs to be worked on, and God willing, somebody's going to come along and see that it needs to be done. It's going to be done.
It does.
All we can do is just do the small part that we're doing.
Yeah.
We can't change the whole system, but we can change a small portion of it.
That's right. That's true.
So tonight's guest, we want to thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate you coming on, and we're going to bring you back in some months to come back in front of the camera and allow people to know what you're doing and the progress that you've made in the time that you've been from the show until the next time you come on. Right. So we thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to.
Yes,
brother.
sir.
Really
Yes, sir.
appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right.
So thank you for watching the show tonight. Tune in Thursday. We have the Good, Bad, Ugly coming to the end of it. The Glenn Bailey story. And we'll have the district attorney on this Thursday at 6:30. Live interview. Call in and talk to the good, the bad, and ugly, and we can come to the end. We want to thank Brother Watani for coming on again tonight and sharing his story with us. And tune in every Saturday at 7 o'clock on Saturday night on Channel 29. Every other Thursday on Channel 76, live interview, the Wendell Elamine James Show. You can tune in on YouTube. Go to the Wendell Elamine James Show and look at the interviews. Thank you for coming on, and we'll see you next week.